A big thanks to Luminar Neo for sponsoring today's video. Hello from Valencia. I'm here for just a day to explore the city, so doing a little bit of a day trip today. Really excited to explore this place. It's noticeably warmer than Madrid, that is for sure. Shooting with one and only X-T5 and 35mm f2. I also brought the 50mm with me. Right now we're headed to the Old City. I was recommended it by Roman, and he said it's the most interesting part to shoot in, so might as well just start there. I think I'm going the right way. This is pretty interesting. Voiceover Faisal here. I realize it's been a while since I last did a POV with a voiceover, but hey, here we are. Better late than never. I do have to say it was a really cool experience spending the day in Valencia during my Madrid trip. And if you ever do stay in Madrid for any extended period of time like I did, I can't recommend it enough to come here, even if it's just for a day. It seems like it's far away and not doable, but my dad and I were able to make the most of the day there and still come back to Madrid at night. All of today's photos you will see today are actually edited with Luminar Neo, today's sponsor. Maybe you've heard of it before, but it's a photo editor software that has a ton of AI features. I'll get a bit more into the editing process with them later on in this video, but for now, I'm just headed my way through the more modern bits of Valencia, hoping to eventually find the old town, if I don't get lost, that is. And I love the architecture here. Okay, maybe you can already tell, but the environment has noticeably changed from where I last was. It's a lot more run down here, but in a good way though, I would say, because that means we're entering the old part of the city. As you all know probably by now, I love photographing texture, so I'm hoping to get some of that while I'm in this area. Now I thought this was a pretty interesting reflection. I guess there was this mirror on this store display, but it created this double reflection because I have also what's reflected in the mirror, but also what's reflected on the glass from this window. This might be too busy of an image, but I found it a bit amusing how the mirror was kind of warping people's faces. I am so incredibly sorry to this poor lady here. I did not mean to do this to you. Please forgive me. I think this photo works much better. A lot of different shapes and colors here, which in my opinion makes it an interesting composition. Let's actually take a brief moment to edit this photo from scratch. So we're in Luminar Neo right now, and because I edit from RAW, I'm going to do most of the heavy work of my edit in the develop settings under RAW edits. Here you'll find what looks very familiar to a lot of photographers. I've got all my essential editing tools right here. I like to first start working with the curves to add some contrast into the image. And right away that does a lot. I could be done right here, to be honest, but there are a few other things I'd like to tweak. I can tweak the shadows and the highlights a bit more here in these settings. Next I'll start working with the colors of the image. I'll add some saturation, but I can also go into the color settings and have access to the entire HSL. And here I can make very specific edits to all of the different colors in the image. I'll do a little bit of a crop here, and there you go. You know what this means.
So apparently just down here there's a really big market. I'm not sure what kind of market it is, but we'll go check it out. Oh, but first, more of these.
I think one of the key aspects in editing is taking advantage of what is already there in the photograph. I always swear by the idea that I'm not ever going to try to save one of my photos through my edit. There needs to be something already there in the image from the start, whether it be the subject I photographed, the moment, the texture, the color, light. In this case, what strikes me the most about this simple scene is just the color and the texture. Sometimes the slightest change is enough to add a bit more to an already successful photograph. Like here, all I really need to do is just add some contrast with the tone curve and maybe a slight boost to the saturation.
So this is the market, Central Market. So it looks like they sell clothes, at least in the outside. Not sure if they allow photos inside. Let's see. Never really know what to shoot in these types of environments. It's always too much. Well, that was a bit of a flop. I figured it would be kind of like that. It's okay. We'll stick to the streets. Been getting a few questions about my camera strap. This is the leather Peak Design Anchor leather camera strap from Wotancraft. I'll have it linked in the description. And for everyone who asks me about my lens hood, it's from Square Hood. Oh, this looks pretty cool. Just doing a quick swap to the 50. Now I find that when I'm traveling, longer focal lengths like this 50, which is technically a 76 millimeter focal length, I find they don't suit travel photography all too well, because when I'm traveling, I feel like I'm shooting a much broader subject matter. I was using this a lot recently, but it was back when I was shooting in New York, so obviously not when I'm traveling, but I was using it in New York because I find it really is a fun lens to use for more abstract work. But when I'm out shooting in places like this or just traveling, I find that like long focal lengths like this 50, which I love, like I find myself really limited with what I can shoot. So I think I'm just gonna switch back to the 35 for now.
So the 50mm f2 lens right here might be my favorite lens at the moment. But I quickly realized on my day trip to Valencia that this lens, or this focal length in particular, it didn't really suit this instance where I was just visiting Valencia for a very brief amount of time. And I think that kind of made me rethink how beneficial long focal lengths are for traveling as a street photographer. The 35mm, which equates to a 56mm in full frame, was a lot more useful on my entire trip to Madrid. And it's simply just because it's a little bit wider, and so there's a lot more versatility in what I can photograph. Even though I wouldn't really consider zoom lenses my favorite types of lenses to shoot with, I much prefer to shoot with a prime lens. The zoom is just that much more practical and versatile of a lens that if you're traveling like I am, it might be your best option for photography. I own only one zoom for my Fuji, and it's this Sigma 18 to 50mm. And it might be the best zoom lens out there, in my opinion, just because of its size. And I didn't bring it with me to Madrid, and I kind of regret that because I would have definitely used that lens a lot. So I'm not going to make that same mistake again. I'm going to bring it with me when I go to Japan in April.
Loving the shapes casted by this shadow from the balcony. And it's just popping with that pastel orange color. This is definitely some more abstract stuff.
So right now we're headed towards the art center, which is supposedly this area with some really interesting architecture.
Please tell me I got that girl in the red dress on a bike. Now that is a pretty cool looking playground, I'm not gonna lie. Look at the size of that slide.
There's a lot of AI tools Luminar Neo has to offer. In this instance, I'd like to remove these people out of the image, and I can easily do that by selecting them and using this tool to remove them from the image. Personally, I think this is one of those scenes that I would definitely turn to black and white. A big thanks to Luminar Neo for sponsoring today's video. You can buy their software outright with a one-time purchase, or use their subscription model to find the right deal that works for you. You can use the QR code on the screen here and use the code Faisal at checkout, and that will get you 10% off your purchase.
This is definitely going to be a black and white photo area. I mean, this is pretty cool. Oh, look who it is. Yo, my hair is a mess right now. It's very convenient. They've made these reflective Rubik's Cube boxes for me to take pictures. I'm fighting the urge to jump into this.
I couldn't help but feel like this area was like if they took the Oculus PATH station in New York and just turned it into an entire park.
Oh, look, there's a guy in the water. What's he doing? Fishing? What a place. These people just came out of the movie theater. Getting the harvest for the day. It's a pretty cool shot right here where the water behind me is actually reflecting off of this window. I really do feel like I'm in Star Wars right now. When someone walks up these stairs, I'm hoping their shadow will show up on that little patch. I think that's a good photo to end the day on.